little bit, well, a lot of dyeing. Homespun House has come out with its first installation of a mini skein club, which I've never ever done before. And I thought, what is a really fun theme that I can do for a mini skein club? And then I thought, what do I love? Coffee, cappuccino in particular. I am very obsessed with an extremely frothy cappuccino. I like the Hafermilch to be just bubbles upon bubbles of froth. It's the best thing ever when the espresso just moves through the milk. It just creates the creamiest, caramelized, delicious drink ever. And since we have gotten our new Italian espresso machine, it's just so fantastic, as well as a milk frother. It has a milk frother, and I've worked at coffee shops all my life, local coffee shops. I've also worked at Starbucks, not all my life. That's completely untrue. That would mean I would still be working in a coffee shop, but probably up until I was 20, I worked in coffee shops and loved it. I feel like it's such a fun job to work at. People are generally pretty laid back. When people get up in the morning or any time of the day, they're usually pretty excited to have their coffee, unless it's made wrong and they're in a hurry. So this coffee club, coffee and donuts club rather, is 8 mini skeins, 8 20-gram mini skeins, and they all have a coffee or donut sort of theme per mini skein. And that's coming out in May, but I definitely like to have things done ahead of time. So I hoped that I could have that finished this week, dyeing it up, but I had a lot of spots opened, so will have to go into next week and dye those mini skeins along with other yarns. It just brings a really fun aspect into dyeing to have that set theme for an entire set of mini skeins, which, as I mentioned, I've never done that before. So it's definitely something that I think I will be doing more in the future, and maybe even having some sort of 3-month mini skein club. But we'll see. Mini skeins are a ton of work to tie up, dye up, dry, hang. Definitely quite a lot of work in comparison to normal skeins of yarn per 100 gram. I wanted to share with you, while I have a little bit of time, while dyes are exhausting, my finished shawl. So I have no idea when I cast this on. I already had the pattern test knit. You can see I have dye on my hands. Who knows what color I've been dyeing with. I think it's quite obvious. But I changed the pattern since I've had it test knit, and I like it a lot better. So I should probably move this out. So I'm talking about the Alpine Shawl, which, as I mentioned, is a shawl that I cast on forever ago. And I knit this out of a Homespun House Dale yarn, which is a 100% non-superwash merino. And I really love this base. It's definitely one of my favorite non-superwash bases, which is why I chose it for the shop. When you're a yarn dyer, especially me, I feel like as an American, finding anything is so easy in America. There is just everything at arm's length. You can get anything you want extremely easily. And it's not the same here at all. In Germany especially, I feel like. And sometimes I don't even know where to begin looking. So on my journey of finding different yarn bases, I tried so many different companies, so many different mills, so many different farms. And I'm really happy with the bases that I came up with. However, there was so much trial and error along with that. And some of the yarns that I sold, I ended up finding out later that I didn't like and ended up changing them. And I feel like right now where I am, I'm very happy with all of the bases that I use. I don't just use one company or one mill or one farm. I use quite a few different ones, just because there are different bases that I like from different places. So anyway, this is my Alpine Shawl, and it's knit out of the Bohemian colorway, which is the mauve color, and then it's knit out of Confetti, which is just this speckled yarn with pinks, peach, greens, yellows, creams, and grays. So it is a triangular shaped shawl, and it's a very simple shawl, but it's a really just fun, intuitive, relaxing, meditative, in front of the TV, turn your mind off and kind of just go with the flow sort of knit, which I really enjoy and appreciate as a mother, a person who is very, very busy, constantly working, and then, you know, spending time with my family. So while I do really like knits that challenge me, as I've mentioned a lot lately, now especially since I have 2 children, that I more so enjoy a knit that is extremely meditative and one that I don't have to think about and count stitches constantly while I'm knitting on. And so I really wanted to create something that I thought was beautiful, but also a very relaxing but fulfilling knit at the same time. The birds are very loud, so I hope that you enjoy those bird sounds, because I absolutely love listening to them throughout the day while I'm dyeing. I always keep my windows open because, you know, of course I need good ventilation, and those birds just keep me company all day. There's a mother who walks around, and you can tell she is going to have babies any day now. We have a lot of nests around our flat as well. So anyway, this is the Alpine Shawl. It is a 2-color shawl. I used almost 2 entire 100-gram skeins of yarn, and the Dale base has 400 meters, which is about 427 yards per skein. And I really love the way that this turns out. So it has these wider stripes with a little bit of this like larger garter pattern, and then it just goes into this garter stitch. Allie, I'm so sorry, this is not something you can do. I know you mentioned you hate garter. And then it has just this beautiful textured edging, and then with this just simple little lace edge at the bottom, and then a picot bind off, which is my favorite because it's so delicate, it's so beautiful, and I really love this shawl. The yarn is extremely cozy, and it's one that I just absolutely adore to wear like that. I wear it quite often, or wearing it, of course, over my shoulders, as I do many shawls. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you because it's one that I finished, and I'm so happy it's done. I hope to get the pattern written and released very, very soon, and to have some fun kits to put together with this as well, with a tonal and then speckled yarn as well. I think that I will do. I do have in May as well another mystery club that came out, was the Shawl Duo kit. So that is a speckled and tonal yarn along with a fun one-of-a-kind Sucra miniatures charm, which I love, and you guys are all going to love it as well who subscribed. There are Sucra miniature charms in the shop, loads and loads of them, hundreds. So if you guys have been wanting Sucra miniatures charms that are right there at hand's length, hand's reach, kind of, because I know that Chelsea from Sucra has quite a long wait before her charms are ready. These are completely ready to be shipped, and you can order them with your yarn shipment. So they're absolutely beautiful and stunning and really well made, and there's a really, really nice selection in the Homespun House shop. So the only shawl that I'm working on right now is still my Marley Shawl by Andrea Mowry, of the So Faded Sweater and the Fade wrap. I don't necessarily think I would wear a So Faded sweater. However, Danny has informed me from the Little Bobbins podcast that there is a child's version. So I'm thinking it would be something really fun to knit for Ruby, because Elodie doesn't really wear anything knit, as I mentioned in the last podcast. So let's show you what I have achieved on this. I have, since the last podcast, probably even before, I think it's probably been in the last few months, learned how to fix brioche, and it is so simple. For anyone who is knitting brioche and is terrified of ruining a stitch, or if you look down and see that you've dropped a stitch or you've purled a stitch where you shouldn't have, it is the most simple thing to fix. I just YouTubed it, and there are a lot of different tutorials. Some of them are more lengthy and a bit more difficult to understand, to be honest. And it's such an easy thing to fix that I would choose one of the shorter videos, because it just gets straight to the point, and like I mentioned, it's a really simple thing to fix. I feel like people are so intimidated by brioche just because it is so different looking, and it's just not the normal knitting technique. You know, people aren't used to knitting 2 rows at a time. I can see that could possibly be easily forgotten. But if you know how to knit, you know how to purl, you know how to yarn over, you know how to slip stitches, you can brioche. So it's just getting the lingo down, which can take a little bit of time, especially if you're doing increases and decreases. But once you get in the flow, it's very easy. I would recommend the Marley Shawl to be one that you would start. Just because it is kind of the most simple form of brioche that you could do. You learn how to increase as well as do the simple 2-color brioche stitch. So I would definitely recommend that as a beginner brioche pattern. I have this fantastic progress keeper from Amber of Maker's Haven, and I just think it's so sweet. She sent that with a beautiful package that I received earlier this month, and I adore it. So again, this is Lara from The Fawn and the Fox yarn, and then on the back I have a Homespun House oatmeal colorway, which I will be adding some to the shop in cashmere this week. I have worked a bit on this. This may not look like much progress. I know that those of you who do knit, well, which would be those of you who are watching this vlog, would see that there's a lot of stitches on these needles, and I'm really enjoying it. It's one that I have been making sure to be working on at nighttime. So when Robert and I are watching a television series in the evenings, this is the one project that I do try to pick up. However, the cats really enjoy this shawl for some reason, and so sometimes I'm just not even willing to put up with their constant springing up and down onto my shawl, onto my lap, that I'm like, I'm just going to knit some socks. These guys are way too crazy. So the kittens' names are Mitzi Meets, which Miezekatze means kitty cat in German, and Mitzi Meets is just what Elodie wanted to call one of them, the darker one. And then the lighter one's name is Soren Lorentzen. Yes, we do call him Soren Lorentzen, the entire name, and yes, we call the other one Mitzi Meets. I just couldn't bear to come up with my own names for them. I thought that Fred and George, while they are extremely, they're definitely not unique names, but I feel like their characteristics fit Fred and George to a T from Harry Potter. If you're not familiar, I love Harry Potter, and I really wanted to name them after some sort of Harry Potter characters. There were a lot of cool ones that I had in mind, but I just thought, man, they really remind me of Fred and George. But Elodie was quite sure that they needed to be called Mitzi Meets and Soren Lorentzen. Soren Lorentzen is a character in a book, the Charlie and Lola series. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Charlie is Lola's older brother, and he is just a fantastic brother and really cares about Lola and watches after her and plays with her, and they're just really fun stories. And Soren Lorentzen is Lola's invisible friend, and so she thought that our kitten Soren Lorentzen, the really quite pale looking cat, he's more of a lilac-y white with gray features, and she thought that he needed to be called Soren Lorentzen because he's kind of invisible looking. And for those of you who have read Charlie and Lola books, I definitely recommend reading the Invisible one, because it's my favorite. It's such a fun children's story, and you find how, Lola came up with the idea of Soren Lorentzen. So it's really sweet. It's a really, really fun book. I love Charlie and Lola books. I think they're one of my favorites. Anyway, so I'm still enjoying this. It is growing a lot. I can't wait to see how it looks when the pattern is finished. I would guess that I have probably 50 grams of each left. Maybe 40. I'm not sure. I haven't weighed them at all. But the cakes are definitely getting very squishy and small. And I'm really enjoying knitting on this again. So yeah, that's my Marley shawl. I have been itching to cast on some sort of new shawl. I would really like to do a Stephen West shawl. I just really enjoy everything that he does. I really would love to kind of finish particular projects until I cast new projects on. So finishing a pair of socks before casting a second pair of socks on, finishing a shawl before casting a second shawl on, so on and so forth. Well, hello there. It's really quite late, to be honest. Robert is gone. He's working. He's filming a video acting as a guru, and I'm hanging out with my two little babies. So here I have Soren Lorentzen. We have little Mr. Meatsy Meats here, who's playing with my Eldenwood Craft bag, and he's a bit darker. And then we have right here on my lap Mr. Soren Lorentzen, and he's a lot lighter, and that's why he is the invisible character. So they're super cuddly. They come to life so much after the girls go to bed. And I'm sitting here watching the girls in the yarn cafe knitting on a pair of socks while these guys keep me company. Oh, I seriously just want to squeeze them. I don't. Ruby does. She runs all over the place trying to pick them up, and she goes crazy with them. So I'm watching the girls in the yarn cafe, which I really like. This is a new podcast to me that I only recently started watching. I don't even know, maybe within the last month, maybe a little bit more. They have got to have around 15 episodes. And I really, really love their podcast. They're both yarn dyers. It's a mother-daughter. And I just like the chatter between the two of them. And I really enjoyed their podcast content. And are you trying to distract my viewers? As I showed you before, I was knitting on my The Gentle Giant socks, which was a BFL yarn from Hey Lady Hey, and I finished those, so I'm really, really happy. So here is the pair. I did a fish lips kiss heel, which is why it looks really strange here. But here they are. I know the lighting isn't the best, but it works. So here are both of the socks. They are indeed the same size, which I'm really happy about. And I adore the way that they look. I think they turned out absolutely beautiful. The dye job on these was really, really even. And I just think that Melissa did a fantastic job. I enjoyed knitting these a lot, and I can definitely see using this yarn in some sort of Stephen West shawl. For Robert, I think that this would do really nice as one of the colors being in there. And after I spoke with you last time about my family secret socks, how one of them was about 10 rounds too short, I did go ahead and rip those out, and I didn't end up knitting on them that evening. However, last night after I finished the Gentle Giant socks, I thought, you know what, I am just going to finish knitting these. Robert had some friends over. They were up very late, probably until 2 a.m. I didn't stay up that late. Sometimes I do, but I haven't been getting a lot of sleep lately, so I think I went to bed around midnight probably. But anyway, I stayed up and I finished the toe on these. So this is the one that was a little bit shorter. You can see I started the ball at a different place, and so it kind of striped it a little bit less saturated at the toe. So that kind of stinks. They would have looked really uniform, but I crocheted a bit of this into that doll blanket that I'm knitting for Elodie and Ruby. But I'm so happy to have these done. So happy to have 2 new pairs of socks. I feel like it's such an amazing feeling, and all of the ends are woven in. I am sorry for these cats going crazy, but they are doing just that. And I have a cup of water right here. I absolutely don't want them to tip it over. You guys. It's really funny because I know those of you who don't have cats, like, don't even care. I feel like once I got kittens, I'm just so much more excited about everybody else's cats. I always thought they were cute for sure. But now that I have cats, I just love and think the cats are so cute. I wanted to mention before I talk about what I'm working on right now, while we're on the subject of cats. I know these guys are going to distract me. But we did have a cat at one point named Kira, and we rescued her. However, the person who we rescued her from did not tell us in the beginning that she had a problem peeing on beds. And as I mentioned in a podcast a long time ago when we had her, she was constantly peeing on Elodie's bed. If we would open the door for 2 seconds, no matter what she was doing, she would sprint in there, jump up on the bed, and pee. So even though she wasn't not older, I think she was maybe like 2 or 3 years old, she wasn't fixed. So we had been speaking with doctors, and, I was pregnant at the time, and we could not handle washing Elodie's mattress and sheets daily. It was a daily thing, and the mattress as well, you have to wait for it to dry after you wash it. So she was then sleeping in our bed and so on and so forth. And I was pregnant and I was having a baby, and I thought, I can't do this with a newborn baby. It just wouldn't be safe. So we did find out that Kira was definitely passed from home to home because of this problem. I have no idea what happened to her in the beginning of her life that caused this. It maybe was, just simply being passed around. That could have been it. She maybe wasn't even abused physically. It was maybe just the emotional abuse. And her feeling so, insecure that made her do this. Why she chose only Elodie's bed, I have no idea. I don't know if you can hear the cats, but they're freaking out in the best way ever. So we ended up getting her fixed. Nothing changed. We thought, we can't do this. We're having a child. we hate to pass her around again because this is what has happened all of her life, but we couldn't deal with it, as terrible as that sounds. But it didn't work for our family. It didn't work with a young child and then a baby coming. So we, put up an ad for her, and we said that this was a problem that she was doing, and maybe it would be best if she wouldn't be around small children, and maybe being outside. So a girl answered the ad, and she was in her 20s, and she lived in a home with her grandparents and her parents. So she ended up taking Kira, and we've heard back from her quite a few times since. That was, quite a while ago. And they've never had a problem. So Kira is so happy. She enjoys being outside so much. She loves all of the people in the family. I kind of wondered, what was the point of us, even being in her life if if everything is happening for a reason. I kind of mentioned this in my last podcast as well. But it could have even been that she just needed somebody who would be honest about her situation, because had we not, another family could have decided to take Kira, and the same thing could have just happened over and over and over again. So I'm happy that she's happy. And while we did not rescue these kittens, I'm really, really happy that we have them, and they're amazing. They care about each other so much. They spend so much time together. They spend every second together, to be honest. And if they're apart for a little while, they'll meow to find each other, and then just insanely rub noses when they see each other and prance all over each other. And the girls love them. Elodie is so crazy about them. She takes such good care of them. I honestly couldn't have imagined her being as gentle as she is with them. So that's a lot of fun to see. So yeah, enough about the cats. It's so funny because in the last video log, I had mentioned how I was not in this sock mood at all. And I think it was just because, one, I had the family secret socks that really frustrated me on no end, that once again I finished a toe and it was too short. And then I don't know, I feel like I just took such a long pause with my friend being here with the Gentle Giant socks that I just kind of fell out of love with knitting them. And then once it came back to knitting them, I was just kind of meh about it. And somebody asked if my friend who visited knits. She does not at all. She's a beautiful painter, but she doesn't knit at all, and I don't really think she has interest in knitting. She loves it and thinks it's beautiful, but knitting for her isn't anything that I've ever honestly heard her say any interest about. So after I finished those, I didn't have any skeins of yarn wound into cakes, and I know that doesn't take long, but it's been kind of a busy day, and I didn't even want to take everything out to do that. So I thought, you know what? I have this Regia Arnie and Carlos Perfect yarn, and I am pretty excited about it. So I have 2 different skeins, 2 different colorways, and I thought this one would be a lot of fun. It's a lot more springy than the other one. The other one is quite navy and grays, which I really love, and I probably would wear that pair a lot more than this pair. But I love this pair as well, and I think it's almost just as wearable. It probably is just the same. So I just recently cast these on. I am using my Alden Wood bag, which I love. It has this beautiful canvas print and pine trees, which are my favorite. And there are a lot of special things in here, to be honest. I have a DPN cozy from Danny of the Little Bobbins podcast. I have this little accessories pouch from Amber of Maker's Haven. I have my little lemon sherbet on there from a collaboration with Sucre Miniatures. And then I have this super sweet lavender sachet from Olivia of This Handmade Life. She doesn't have a podcast, but she sent this to me in a swap that we did not quite a while ago. So I have only done a little bit on these socks, but I already love the way that the blue is looking. It looks a lot different than it does on the screen, but that's kind of what you get when you have warm nighttime lighting. And now I'm starting to do the colored section, and I am so curious to see how these work up. I can't wait to see how popcorny this is, because I definitely think it will be. While I was knitting the cuff, you knit the cuff, and I decided to do a knit one, purl one. I generally do a knit two, purl two, but on my Family Secret socks and then on the Gentle Giant socks, I for some reason decided to do a knit one, purl one, which is a pretty common rib that my grandma does. And so these ones you do the rib, and then once it changes to the color, you just do stockinette stitch. And then it also, hey, what are you doing? Drinking my water. So then it lets you know when you need to knit the heel. I'm just going to let him drink my water. If he needs it, he needs it. And I can wash it and get a new glass. So then it tells you when you need to do the heel, and I'm really looking forward to get a bit more work on these. Robert should be home in about 2 hours, so I have 2 hours to sit and knit on this, and the Girls in the Yarn Cafe, it's an 1.5 hour episode, so I'm so excited. Another podcast that I am really, really loving is Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. I've never talked about this podcast before. I think I maybe mentioned it on my Instagram stories once. I've started doing Instagram stories every day, which has been so much fun. So if you don't follow me on there, I am a Homespun House. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. One new thing that I'm doing through Instagram is if you hashtag my yarn, so hashtag a Homespun House, with a photograph of a project that you're working on, or just a photograph of some yarn that you've purchased, every month I will be choosing a winner, and I'll DM them via Instagram actually, and they will be able to choose colors and kind of tell me what their dream skein of yarn would look like. So this won't be a skein of yarn that I traditionally dye. It will be basically a skein that is completely created by the winner who I choose with the hashtag a Homespun House for each month, like I said. So I've already chosen April's winner, and she's been notified. It's a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to be able to share some Homespun House yarn with people who love it and who are knitting with it. And I think it's really fun to kind of be able to own your dream skein of yarn if I can come close to it. So I'm really, really excited about that. Let's take the elephant out of the room and say straight away that my hair is darker and shorter. It is more along the lines of my natural hair color, just because the bleaching blonde was killing my hair. Let's put that out there. And I wanted long hair, and I've been trying to grow my hair long forever, and it's impossible to do when you bleach your hair. So I have been knitting on my Ziri cardigan, or pullover rather, which is really exciting. I have this in one of my most special bags. Let me move my coffee out of the way, even though you can't see it. I need to make a little bit of space. If you guys could see all of the secret stuff in my studio right now. All along this entire wall, I have May's Harry Potter yarn. The charms are right behind me. All along this wall, I have all of the Donuts and Coffee Mini Skeins Club. So I have a lot of really, really fun clubs coming up. I'm going to be collaborating with a new polymer clay artist, which I'm very, very excited about. I do have a Gilmore Girls Club in the works, which I'm also really looking forward to. I've recently started watching Gilmore Girls and I love it. Not recently, it's been quite a few months, but I'm on the 5th season now. And this is the season that I've really fallen in love with all of the characters. I would say the end of the 4th season is when it really happened. But I really love all of them. None of them really irritate me. Suki is a bit irritating at times. She's not even irritating, but if I had to choose one character that's like, oh my god, it would be her probably. And not even, okay, let's just ignore I even said that. But anyway, I have a lot of really, really fun clubs coming up. One huge announcement, I will not be dyeing yarns for a homespun house all summer. So the only yarns that I will be having in the shop are club yarns, and that's it. So if you want to get some homespun house yarn this summer, you either need to get what's in the shop now, or you need to hop on one of the monthly clubs or the Harry Potter yarn clubs, which there are currently spots open for Harry Potter yarn club. There are no monthly clubs open at this time. However, I will have an opening in June. Yeah, so that being said, I'm excited about those things. It's just, I really want to spend a lot of time with my family this summer. Elodie and Ruby are both at home. As I mentioned, Elodie isn't going to Kita anymore. And the whole reason why I started a homespun house was so that I could, work from home and spend time with my children. And a homespun house just got crazy, which I love. And I love my job. I love working. There's never a day that I'm like, yes, the weekend's coming. I'm so excited, because I generally don't work on the weekend. I usually just work Monday through Friday. It's very rare that I work on the weekend. And if I did, it would be an evening that Robert would be gone. And even so, I generally don't work. But I do work very hard through the day, all day. And I am in the studio, and I'm not, the only time I'm spending time with my family is we all have lunch together. And the summer is here, and I'm not dyeing any more yarn for a homespun house already. I haven't for the past week. And it's funny, I was a couple of weeks ago on the search to hire somebody to work for a homespun house. I don't want anyone doing any of the creative stuff, because that's what a homespun house is about. It's never been about somebody dyeing or making, the products that I make. I still want it to be that really special yarn that I am creating and coming up with. And I want to have that connection with you all. And I want you to know that I'm the one who dyed your yarn, and not wonder, did Molly dye this yarn, or did the person working for her dye this yarn? Because nobody can really dye the yarn the same. We all have our own technique. So, and it's just a really special thing, I feel like. So everything was still planned on being made by me. It was just, I wanted to hire somebody for packaging, parcels, and that was it. And I still plan on doing that, but I won't do that until the fall, when Elodie and Ruby both start going to Kita, because there's so little. Elodie is going to be starting school next year, and Ruby will be starting Kita in the fall, as I mentioned, and I really want to be able to spend this summer together as a family. So Robert doesn't work. He has been a stay-at-home father, which is why I have been able to work full-time for a homespun house. I've had a lot of people ask that, what Robert does. He is an actor. He went to school to be an actor, and he would really, really like to be an actor. And he does commercials and, you know, side projects every now and again, but those are, you know, 2 days out of the month, and it's easy for me to take those days off. But he'll start doing a lot more, you know, things for his job come the fall when the girls are going to Kita. So yeah, that's just a little side note. I just wanted to mention that there won't really be any new yarns going into a homespun house. There will just be club yarns. There will be the Harry Potter yarn clubs, which are almost sold out. If you want to hop on that, I will not even be reselling Harry Potter yarn clubs until, oh my goodness, September. So it will be quite a while until those are being sold again. There will be the Harry Potter Yarn Club, the monthly yarn club, and then I'm pretty sure I will be doing each month a mini skein yarn club. That's kind of up for grabs, but definitely no yarn in the shop other than what's there. I did want to show you guys a yarn that I will be popping up in the shop soon. I still have some yarns that I haven't listed, and the shop is pretty full right now, so if you want to have a look, you definitely should. But this is a new colorway that I have dyed. It's getting really blown out just because it's so sunny in this window. I probably shouldn't have filmed right here, but it's called Fruit Loops, and this is my skein. I had to save one for myself because I adore it so much. So it's really beautiful. It's oranges and peaches, aqua, turquoise, different shades of purples, pinks. It's absolutely, I love it. I really, really love this color. Here you have, this looks, on the camera, it looks like it's an emerald green, but it's not at all. It's a lot more aqua than that. So this is my current Homespun House favorite skein. Fruit Loops. All right, so I have been working on my Siri pullover. And I've really, really been enjoying it. I'm drinking coffee out of my Strawberry Fields mug, which is so summery. I received this from Shauna of Adelaide Cottage. You guys get to see one of the Harry Potter charms because I have it on my pullover at the moment. So here's my Ziri pullover, and you can see how much I have knit. The pullover previously looked like this on both sides. This is out of a Homespun House yarn in the Dewdrop colorway, and it just has such beautiful texture. I really, really love the texture of this pattern, and I'm so happy that during Vlogmas, when I came really close to ripping it out, that I didn't. Thank the wonderful viewer who suggested I put it on a larger needle or piece of yarn and try it on, because it fit. And it wasn't painful to put on. It fit nicely. So here's the other arm. I finished the textured section here, and that was one of the big reasons why I didn't pick this project up again. I knew that I had to knit this entire textured section, and I knew that I didn't want to take the time to read a pattern and knit that textured section. And so I didn't, and I put it on hold for a long time, and then I picked it up, and the stitches just seemed so off. I didn't know what was going on with the pattern, and something was just off. So I set it down, and I thought, you know what? Maybe when I pick it up again, I will be it will just work out, because I feel like that happens almost all of the time. So I did, and it worked out. I picked it up and there was nothing to work out, honestly. So I worked on the textured section for a couple of days, and yesterday I had a dentist appointment, just a cleaning, and then I went and hung out at a cafe for a couple of hours, and then I went and I got my hair done. Here is last month's Harry Potter Progress Keeper. It is these two beautiful Birdie Bots Every Flavored beans. I love them. Here I have just another little Progress Keeper from Amber of Maker's Haven. Prettiest little Progress Keeper. This one I just have to actually mark my progress, and this one I have to mark the last time that I did my decreases on the sock. So I'm using Knit Pro Zings, which I absolutely adore. I used the fixed circulars for the body, and then I moved to the DPNs for the arm. I had been knitting it on a magic loop, but it just wasn't working for the arm. It was becoming much too fiddly and was just taking up too much time. So the DPNs worked a lot nicer for that. So I'm really enjoying that. Again, this is a Homespun House Dewdrop in our tonal colorway line, and I'm loving it. It's a 75-25 soft sock DK. So I can't wait to have this finished. But I am enjoying knitting on it, so it's not just a piece that I'm like, I want it done. Because I haven't picked it up in so long, I'm really liking the DK. It's so soft and spongy, and I love seeing my fun little Progress Keepers there. I hope that those of you who joined the Harry Potter Yarn Club like your yarn, and like the Progress Keeper as well. Chelsea hasn't done the 2 Birdie Bots Every Flavored beans, so I thought that that would be really fun. And the ones that will be on their way to you tomorrow, you will like as well. I'm pretty sure that you'll wonder where the inspiration from the yarn came in when it comes with the charm, but I'll explain that another time. Because I was just talking about my zings, I wanted to talk to you about something that I got from Lou Lee. We did a swap, and I saw that she posted on Instagram some time ago about her DPN needle cozies as well as her circular cozies, and I love pine trees. And so I saw this one, and in here I have all of my sock yarn needles. I have my 2mm as well as 2.5mm. I generally use a 2mm needle, but if I'm using a sport weight yarn, I will knit with a 2.5mm needle. And in here I have zings and carbons. So this one I just used to put my sock needles in, and I think I need another one just for, kind of all sizes, because it's so much prettier to have it in here than the case that they came in. So I also requested this one. I love that this one has the house on it. And this is for like a circular, an interchangeable circular set. But I don't have mine in here at the moment. Right now I just have my fixed circulars. So I haven't really gotten around to using this yet. I just wanted to just put my fixed circulars in there. But I will let you know how that is once I put it to work. I do love this. I feel like if I'm going somewhere, this will be the perfect thing to just throw in my suitcase, in my bag, and I will have extra circular needles if I need them. So I love these. Lee's quality is always impeccable, as everybody says. I feel like she just has an eye for detail, and everything she makes is top notch. I'm never unhappy with her products. I have, you can actually see right here is a bag from Lou Lee with trees on it. And I have my granny stripe blanket in there, which I've been working on a bit. And I'm not going to show that to you guys because you know what it looks like. I'll show you once I've made, you know, a huge progress on it. But I think since we last spoke, I've probably crocheted maybe 10 rows, which is, you know, it's a bit of time, but nothing I feel like worth showing. I am pretty sure that at one point I showed you an embroidery that Elodie was working on, and maybe I didn't. I know that I posted a photograph on Instagram. She had drawn something that she wanted to embroider inside of an embroidery hoop, and then we had planned on having her embroider it. So she embroidered her name, and then she just kind of got over it. And what she colored it on with was just one of those pens that goes away by heat, but it was slowly starting to get lighter and lighter. And I thought, oh my goodness, I do not want this drawing to go away. It is so special. She wrote her name on there, and then she drew some teacups, and she drew just this girl rollerblading. So I didn't want to force her to do it. I asked her to choose the colors as I embroidered, and I did. So here is her embroidery. So these are the teacups, her pretty little hair. This is her dress that she's wearing, and she just chose all of the colors. I just filled in the lines, and her rollerblades, which I love. They are the cutest things ever. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to make this into a pillow. I'm a little bit unhappy with the way that I did this, to be honest. I really wish that I hadn't done this so thickly. I wish that I would have honestly done this like as thick as 2 of the stripes. I just think it's way too thick. I don't know why I felt like I needed this massive square. I love these, but I just feel like this is too big. It's kind of overwhelming. The drawing is so gorgeous, but then I also say, you know what? It's the first time you've done this with an embroidery, and there will always be another one, and I would love to have a bunch of them. So I don't know if I should save it for a quilt, because I would really like to do more of these. I'm really happy with the way that it looks, and I'm thinking that I might turn this into a pillowcase. But my intention was to make it into just a mini quilt to hang on the wall, which I still could do because it's really beautiful. I wouldn't frame it. I would just put a backing on and put like a V frame so that I could hang a rod in the back. And if I were to do that, I would definitely bind it, you know, put a back on and bind the quilt. So, yeah, I'm very happy with it, other than the thick frame that I have on there. So if I do another one, I will definitely make it smaller, but I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So, and I'm really happy to have something special that she made, and you know, she embroidered this, so that's fine. And I guess kind of thinking that she would embroider the entire girl and all of the teacups and everything that she drew, it was probably a bit ambitious. I've completely rearranged my studio. You probably can't tell that from where I'm sitting, but Robert's office we've actually turned into the packaging room. So all of my yarn that's dyed there, all of the packaging supplies, everything is in his office, which is, we did that when I had planned on having somebody work for a homespun house this summer. So half of my studio, this entire section over here, was empty. And so now it has a really, really comfy, beautiful chair and ottoman. It has a cozy rug on the floor. It has tons of embroidery, cross stitch, quilting, just really special things I've made and people have made for me up on the walls. It has all of my yarn stash. It has a big cubby of all of the Homespun House yarn that I've saved for myself, weavings that I'm working on, photographs. I have a wall that has a ton of Elodie's drawings on it, and I love it. I really love it. It's like a place where I can come in and die, but it's also a place where if I am sitting here and winding yarn into skeins and doing stuff like that, the girls can come in here and hang out with me as well, which was definitely not possible before. There was too much just stuff all over the place that they just couldn't stop themselves from touching everything, and it just didn't work. So now it works nicely that if I am doing something like that, which, as I mentioned, will not really be happening this summer unless it's, days that I'm getting Harry Potter yarns ready or any of the club yarns ready, that they can come sit in here and hang out or play with Play-Doh. I have a little coffee table that they can color at and do stuff like that at, which, like I said, they have been doing, and that's been nice. And it's nice. Summer's here, which is really exciting. We're having a friend sleep over tonight, which Elodie doesn't even know about. We'll surprise them when we pick them up from Kita, go and have lunch, and, or not lunch, go and have ice cream. Not lunch, it's like 3 o'clock. And come home, play outside, which I don't think they will want to do because they've probably been doing that all day, and Elodie's friend hasn't been here for quite some time, so I'm guessing they'll want to come upstairs and play. I, as well, completely redid Elodie's room, and I feel like it's pretty magical in there. And she loves it. She never really spent time in her bedroom before, and now she can find her most of the time in there. So it's really nice that she has a place that she likes to imagine in and play in. She has a desk in there, pretty large, beautiful wooden one, and she loves to play with her Legos there. So yeah, it's been nice chatting with you guys. I hope that you all have a lovely May and beginning of June. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.